Hey collectors. So I found recently that I spend a lot of time and brain power thinking about the music, the movies, the books, the games that really define a year. The ones that stick with you and define a moment in time. With that in mind, I've been asking myself not only what are my favorite albums of 2025, but which albums actually define the year for me. And one that immediately comes to my mind is Even in Arcadia by Sleep Token. It's an incredible album for sure, but it's also a band that's making a lot of waves right now, more than ever before. They're capturing attention, creating buzz, and shaping the conversation right now in a big way. And that got me thinking about my collection. How do I take a simple jewel case and turn it into something more? Something that draws the eye, feels personal, and also reminds me of this moment in time when I see it. And CDs are tricky. Most of the time, all you get is a simple standard case, and to be honest, regardless of artwork, that can feel bland. So today, I'm taking on a little project. My goal? Bridge the gap between simplicity and elegance, elevate the album beyond the standard, and create a piece that feels special. So with that in mind, we are making a slipcase, but not this one. All right, Even in Arcadia. As I mentioned, easily one of my top albums of 2025. Now, Sleep Token is definitely an acquired taste, and I'll admit it took more than a few listens before I realized I wasn't just intrigued by the band, but was getting hooked. And ever since I embraced that, it's been amazing. Sleep Token have always balanced atmosphere, emotion, and mystery. This album in particular feels cinematic and heavy and also intimate all at once. The artwork immediately stands out. Deep pinks and grays with that spiritual meets modern aesthetic. It's moody and full of texture. The back layout feels deliberate too. Minimal, just the track list and that symbol. Inside, the booklet carries that same energy. Abstract imagery, simple text, and a sense of storytelling. The disc design is plain, yet striking also. A small artifact of that world that they've built. This is a nice release, but I do want to elevate it, give it something extra. A custom slipcover to highlight the color palettes and make it stand out a little bit more on my shelf. A personal touch, should we say, to make it uniquely mine. So, let's move on to creating that. After measuring the jewel case, I created a precise template in Photoshop. Each front and back panel is 143 millimeters wide. The spines are 11 millimeters each, and the whole thing stands 125 millimeters tall. I'm adding a small flap to connect it together once it's printed, and left a few millimeters of bleed around the edges so nothing gets cut off when I'm trimming it. Once the structure was locked in, we can start experimenting with fonts, and I wanted something that felt true to the album. After testing a few, I finally found one that I liked, and I'm adding the album title and band name to both spines, and then I place the track list and the release year on the back. At this point, you could easily just drop the original artwork and call it finished. It's print ready and looks great as it is. But for an album that defines 2025 for me, I wanted to give it that little extra oomph. So I ended up hand drawing a close-up of the flamingo, and here it is. I really loved this idea of first spotlighting the animal and then pulling back to show just how small it is when you slip it out of the case. Through the magic of technology, I snapped a clear photo of my drawing with my phone and brought it into Photoshop. From there, I separated the line art from the background so I could digitally paint it with all of the colors that I wanted. I pulled in the original Even in Arcadia artwork for reference here, just to make sure that my tones and my colors and lighting will match once it's printed. Now, this isn't meant to be a digital painting tutorial, but at this stage I'm blocking in the flat colors and gradually building the image. Once those are down, I start layering in texture, adding shadows and soft lighting and giving it some of that depth that we're looking for. And here is the final result. I'll admit, I'm really pleased with how this one turned out. Now it's just a matter of transferring the image over into our template with just a few clicks. And there it is all together. Contrasted with that dark green background, I do think the art really shines. And with that, we are finished with Photoshop and ready to print. Okay, here's the final version on paper. I had it printed at my local Staples on glossy cardstock, and it's really fun to see all of the details come to life this way. Time to trim. I start by removing both sides with a ruler and my trusty blade, just cutting off the extra edges on the left and right. Next, what I'm doing here is lining up my ruler with the edges of the spines and only cutting the excess white of the paper from the outside of the print. The reason for this will be apparent when we flip the paper over. What I want to do is use those cut lines with my ruler to perfectly emboss the fold lines with the bone folder. I pass over each line with the bone folder twice, applying even pressure. Now, flip back over and remove the rest of the excess paper from the print. You'll see now what great work that bone folder really does for this project. Those spines are folding over perfectly. I use double-sided tape on the excess flap and cut off the top and bottom at an angle so it doesn't get in the way of the jewel case when everything is assembled. Then bring the flap and the back cover together and voila, it is completed. Now the moment of truth, does the album actually fit? Yes. Beautiful. Okay, so some finishing touches. I have these CD protectors that I like to order from the Malco brand. I use these on a lot of my media. The whole design fits perfectly on the inside, and just look how stunning that artwork looks through that layer of gloss. And removing the plastic is one of my all-time favorite things. I didn't forget about the hype sticker either. It has a spot on the back of the case to complete the project. Very satisfying. And there it is, the custom slipcover, finished and looking amazing. Just a little effort, and something as simple as a jewel case can turn into something special, elegant, if I may say so myself. And defining of the moment. For me, it isn't just about protecting a CD. It's about honoring the music that defined the year, creating something I'll want to display and revisit again and again. And I hope it inspires you to add your own personal touch to your collections, to take the ordinary and make it extraordinary. All right, so Sleep Token, have you listened to them? What are your thoughts? And what are some albums that define 2025 for you? Let me know in the comments. And if you enjoyed this video, please consider subscribing. We have more to come. Thanks for watching, collectors. Keep curating, keep creating, and keep media culture alive on your shelves. See you next time.